In conclusion to our introduction to MVC, the Model View Controller design, let's make a quick summary about all aspects of this design in our JavaFX application. Okay, I have this very simple diagram that I'll show you, and I'll walk you through all of its parts. In our start method, right here, we create a new scene, new controller, and new model. So this is new scene, this is controller that gets created inside the fxml loader object, and this is our new model. The scene class represents the view. Right, so this is our view, and it gets instantly connected to the controller because all user action events are bound to the handler methods in our controller class. And then we make controller set model call right here, controller set model, and it makes the controller remember a reference to the model object. In real-life application, there could be many more other types of model tier objects instantiated when the use case is initialized. And then the controller, inside this set model method, formulates this lambda expression, which connects the label in our view with the property in the model class. And then the whole thing is remembered as a listener lambda function which updates the label. So here in this short sequence diagram, I display that the start method inside our main class calls set model of the controller class. And so here we execute this add listener to add new object to the list of listeners. And the actual item that gets added is this lambda function formulated by this expression. And so right here it's created, and then it gets remembered as a lambda function on this list of listeners. So now we have this lambda function stored in this list, and there could be potentially more of these functions stored here because it's a collection. So this executable lambda function, which is formulated right here, basically connects our property inside the model object, right? So inside the model object we have the counter variable, and we say get count. So this gets connected right here, and then it also gets connected to the label update, label set text. So somewhere in our view we have our label. So this set text method updates the content of the label. So in short, this lambda function stored on the list of our listeners is capable of taking the value from the model and updating it inside the view, specific label here. So this is happening during the startup. At the runtime, the button click event is handled by the controller on click update, which in its own turn calls the model. It tells the model set new value for the counter. As soon as new counter is updated, the model calls notify observers, which instantly goes through the loop and executes every lambda function, and as a result this value gets updated in our view. So this is here on click or on click update in our example. So we say counter get count +1 set count. So set count is called. So inside the set count method in our model counter class, we update the count value and call notify observers, which loops through every observer on this list and executes this lambda function, because onChange makes a call into this executable lambda function. That's here is the actual implementation of this onChange. So this is how the model object notifies the view and updates the label inside the view, right, through this Lambda function. In addition to this, we could have potentially multiple views with other types of controls visible to the user, right? We could have more than one. And if we added more listeners, more of these Lambda functions that knew how to make an update to these other forms, other views, that would trigger these updates and show the new values in other multiple places in the user interface. So this is why we have this generic list of listeners that could potentially be interested in updates from the changes inside of our model object. So this is our presentation, and your task, which is programming assignment A5, to complete all the steps outlined in this week's video presentation and to submit, zip your entire NetBeans project and upload it as a single zip archive.